So okay, we started talking about movies, so we must in the previous video, so we might as well carry on, I guess.
I think it is a good point, but hit that button. Yay, let's talk movies, TV, and entertainment.
It's pretty much the thing that everyone's doing, I guess, that we can all agree on. Not agree on.
Yeah, true. If they're not
relate.
learning a new skill or a language, they're definitely moving and Netflixing and all the others.
Yeah, dude. So, what have you been watching recently? I get the feeling we've been watching quite a bit of the same stuff. There's just so much you can watch.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think the first one that I have out of the gate is the new Justice League Dark Apokalips War came out. And I think pretty much on the day it came out, or maybe a day after, you and I both managed to get copies of it and watched it pretty much in line with one another. So I think now's a good time to mention to any viewers that possible spoiler alert.
Yeah, definitely spoiler alert, dude, because especially because it's comic related, I think we might get carried away. There's like a few, like one or two lines that are just like priceless to me. So, but I think if we managed to watch it, like the people in the States or anywhere else don't really have an excuse, man. So, I don't mean that in a dick way, but
a lot of the local community as well got onto it, and if they haven't, maybe, and they're watching our sort of podcast, they'll see this. I go, oh, let me quickly get this. Let me pause this particular podcast. Let me watch the movie, and then I'll come back to what Mark and Warren have to say.
Yeah, dudes, I don't know if you want to pick up, but you might know more about this than I do. But allegedly, in terms of continuity, this film was the last. It's gonna I don't know what they're gonna do after this. I don't know if it's just gonna be independent stories, but apparently this was arc done now in terms of DC animated films.
100%. That's what I've read. So, the way I'm understanding it, they had the DC animated universe. Then, just similarly to like what they had in the comic books, there was the Flashpoint paradox that happened in the comics that spawned the New 52 for a period. My understanding is that's exactly how they took things in the animated world. Was the Flashpoint paradox movie spawned the immediate Justice League movies that followed, the Aquaman animated, just the whole string of the movies, even the first Justice League Dark movie, the various Batman movies that happened in recent years. They were all in some way, shape, or form interlinked, interconnected, and all a part of that, call it, new universe, similar to a New 52 universe that happened in the comics. And then there was a series of events that led to that universe sort of collapsing in on itself or folding in, and a new one spawning out of it. That's where Rebirth in the comics came from. And Rebirth picked up almost in continuity-wise from a specific point and moving forward from there. And that's what I understand is going to happen in the animated side. So Justice League Dark ends with the Flash banging off to try and correct continuity, or at least reverse some actions that he
make
did.
It less worse, that
led to all of that. So it's that particular story arc, that particular thing is done, and I kind of like that. For me, it's very Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's very the Avengers 10-year journey, etc., that we were all privy to with the live-action movies. So, for me, hands down, and I'm going to say it many, many times, I think DC has completely and utterly obliterated Marvel when it comes to the animated side of things. The movies that they're doing, even the shows that they're doing. Marvel has one or two now and then, but overall, DC have just owned that space, and those movies are done so well. The voice casting, the animation, the stories that they've brought there were just out of this world amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also what I like, and this is a very basic thing, but I mean, even if you've missed a couple of, like animated films in between, still self-contained, it still makes sense. So it's really got all the elements. I mean, like, yeah, dude. And this movie this film was huge, like scale-wise.
Wow, yeah. And in the feels too, dude. It not only scale-wise, but the emotions that it
so many deep cuts, dude. Like that. I mean, I won't think of all of them, but I mean, just the Damian Wayne and Batman scene, and that I didn't see coming. That I was like, and like, it's almost like a safe thing for writers to do, but executed so well when you're framing it always back at the event that created Batman to jolt him out of that. And just a side like nerd note, like though, I love what they did with Batman's voice when he was mind controlled. Just that metallic sound to like this thick like Bruce Wayne like Batman voice, but I was just like, the sound. I was like, so cool. Yeah, there's just so many good things. I mean, like, again, spoilers. Obviously, I was a bit sad about Zatanna and her circumstances, but also her lines to Constantine. And again, it was a plan of Batman's all along. You're like, what?
It's insane, dude. That Batsy is constantly chess moving, like putting certain pieces on the board in case. It's crazy.
And I know this might come as a bit of a cheapskate thing, but there is like one or two things that I didn't love about it, but the one is totally doesn't matter. But okay, so for anyone out there who might know, I've talked to Warren about I've wanted to write my own comic for a while. Probably never going to happen. And I was going to do a Constantine story.
We're going to push you.
Yeah. And I wanted to do a Constantine story, and I've got an idea. I don't want to talk much about it, but my opening scenes in my head that I was trying to get down is literally the opening of Constantine and Zatanna, her laying in bed, him getting up, staring into literally, it's so close, because I wanted to also start it off happy, and I'm like, I can't even be cross at them for that.
Dude, it's something I've been saying to you for a while as well. It's like almost as like, if you start imagining, conceiving, etc., something like that, unless you literally push and drive and try to get that thing out there, somehow the universe manifests this thing in some way, and then bang, it happens, man.
Yeah. And then I'll go into and it's probably the only and last critique I have of the film. And let me just be clear, I would still give it a 99% out of 100, or 100%. It's an awesome film. But one thing that bothers me about the animated things, man, it's almost like the writers are like, Swamp Thing. And they just do the same formula. Constantine goes to him with this massive problem, and he goes, I am the Green, you guys don't deserve me. And then Constantine plays reverse psychology on him and does a smart on him, and he goes, oh, I must help. And he goes and bashes everything. He does it in every film. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Some other original way to bring Swamp Thing into the fray.
Yeah, it's just another one. Sorry, going back to stuff I did like, is what I really liked is in comparison to what I've seen, they really did power Constantine up with his spells and stuff. He was on the ball, dude. Really, because they had to level him up to the rest of the Justice League, kind of. But then with that, him acknowledging that he can't take Wonder Woman when she's half cyborg, and then the lasso of truth, all executed so well. So and a lot of people get that stuff wrong, and because I think it's tricky. Even Marvel, it's you don't really. I mean, in the MCU, you don't really ever know who the strongest is. Then Captain Marvel's the strongest. No, she isn't. Hulk maybe is, but maybe Thor is, and you kind of in this, everyone's damn powerful, but they play to their strengths, and I think they do that really well.
Agreed. I like the whole, on a side note, the Etrigan.
Oh, yeah.
Angle. I mean, Etrigan is so morbidly depressed that he doesn't even rhyme anymore. I was like, wow. and then right at the end, just everything about him and how that kind of comes to fruition, I was like, wow, again, right in the heartstrings, man.
And then also, that to me, that's a sign of good writing. Sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, where you sit there and you get irritated and you can't decide if you don't like the series or if a character is written to irritate you on purpose, right? So he's meant to get under your skin. And just as I was starting to literally as I was about to be okay, he's drunk all the time, I get it. like those soldiers come and he's like, dish, 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 and he's like bored and like he starts kicking ass, and then like it like all of a sudden goes to the the whole Wonder Woman scene. And I was like, oh man, that was cool. So like I enjoyed all the characters, man. Also Martian Manhunter, I think they could like probably do more with. He also just feels like he just appears the whole time, like randomly. I don't know much about a Manhunter, but I know he's
badass.
Yeah, he's badass in his own sort of way. Also, one thing I did, and look, I know they couldn't do it with every character, but if you look at it, to me, it's so subtle, but you can notice that there's maybe character favorites from writers. So like Darkseid had such specific tasks for the Justice League. Brainwash Batman, genius. Make the Flash run the whole thing, literally. And like
Cyborg, integrating Cyborg with mother boxes and stuff.
But then like there's a few of the other characters, and like Starfire, I get Mira, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, Mira. Yeah, she becomes like one of the
they're all
Furies.
they're all like these. But like Wonder Woman, I mean, like I know they could have done more with her. She's just a badass warrior. I'm like, but I get it. You couldn't crush too many concepts because you drown the film. But
the one thing that I thought was missing is I don't think you can have the Furies without Granny Goodness. I mean, Granny Goodness is a sort of the master of, or the head of the Furies. She sends them into battle. So I was missing a Granny Goodness. That's one small little thing. Overall, loved it. Absolutely. I didn't see that coming, how that movie unfolded, what happened. It took me by surprise and very pleasant.
Yeah, surprise. Because and I mean, like it goes to shit really quickly. You're like, what just happened? And it's like, okay, now the story's only starting. And so interestingly enough, I know we might have talked about this, but and I know there's the poor cult out there that are like still going, release the Snyder cut. I'm switching to the DCEU now. What the DC's the cinematic universe. People know what I mean. Anyway, and apparently, shame, dude, like apparently that's what Snyder's trilogy, not exactly like this, but very big elements of this that introduce us. And apparently at the end of the first Justice League, you're going to see through the boom tube, you're going to see Darkseid, and it was going to like end. And then it was exactly like in the animation, Superman's like, we got to take the fight to them. We can't wait for this. And they go, but they get their asses absolutely handed to them, like on the devastation level. Kind of, now you're starting to see the parallels of what happened with Endgame and stuff. The MCU. And then third one, they figure it out. And also in that second film, Batman's visions come true, and then they figure out they've got to figure out how to change time. So you see, unfortunately, it had so many similarities with the MCU and the direction they were going. So apparently it was that, also Ben Affleck leaving and all the various things, Snyder leaving, Josh Whedon taking over. So unfortunately, it was just so it sounded epic, dude, because there's going to be lanterns, there's going to be everything. They were going to go full on cosmic and stuff. So So yeah, I am secretly, like quietly, like a release the Snyder cut dude. I'm just not holding my breath, but if they do, I'll be first in line to watch it. So
yeah, it'll be nice to watch for comparative purposes, I think. Another one that I watched was one that you mentioned in one of our previous movie editions, was Night Hunters, that movie with Henry Cavill and Sir Ben Kingsley.
Just one question. So how unrelevant is the name of the film?
Oh yeah, no.
I'm like, come on, guys. But anyway, proceed.
If I had to maybe try and think out of the box, maybe that Ben Kingsley and that sort of ward, or that girl that he's taken under his wing, maybe it's them, or it could be the serial killer, Night Hunt, but not close at all.
Yeah, it just feels like they're like, hey, we got this pretty solid movie, and they spend 2 seconds naming it. That's like what it feels like to me. But anyway.
And I like what you say there, dude. For me, it was a solid movie. When I look at the cast, I mean, that thing had that, what's her name now? Alexandra Daddario. She's awesome. It had Nathan Fillion as one of those tech guys.
How funny was that scene? Yeah, like...
all the geek guys know Nathan Fillion and love Nathan Fillion. It had Stanley Tucci as the head of the police commissioner, or the police chief. He was amazing. And yeah, I thought dark, brooding Henry Cavill, it worked, man. And Ben Kingsley was always like, he's on point, dude. I love Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, so that's the name I was trying to think of when I first told you about the film, and I just couldn't think of his name because he's such an original actor. But yeah, dude, like, like I've heard a lot of people say that the real like artsy people out there, like that they don't really dig Cavill because if you look at his acting range, it's quite. He's not like something drastic like Downey, that can go like all the way there to there. But not many people are. But I think he still does a really good job of being cast in the right roles, and then he nails them.
I can't say that I've watched any kind of Henry Cavill role to date that I haven't enjoyed. I mean, in Mission Impossible, I enjoyed him.
I still haven't watched Mission Impossible. Let's check it out.
You must, dude. Ghost Protocol or whatever it was. I dug it, man. I thought he was great. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, but...
Can I divert for 2 seconds? Have you seen that news where Tom Cruise is teaming up? First it was SpaceX, but now it's NASA, and he wants to shoot the first film in space. And he does all his own stunts, so he's like...
I could believe it, man. Tom in a spacesuit. I could totally see it happening, man.
Yeah, so that was random. I saw that. I'm like, I've got to tell Warren this, and I just did, so...
I wouldn't be surprised if it's linked to a Mission Impossible in some way, shape, or form, because, it's right up his alley in that regard, man. So... I think it was on Netflix. It's certainly on one of the
mainstreaming.
You should be able to get it, and I recommend to anyone. I love those Mission Impossible movies. I think out of all of them, the second one potentially was maybe the lowest or weakest. The first one I think is good, sets everything up. Second one was okay. The third one still had I forget his name now. Late actor, blonde hair. He died. Tight actor playing the villain. His name will come to me. Or we'll put it up in the post-edit or whatever. He was fantastic. And then after the third movie, the ones that followed, for me, it just got better and better and better. Like Cruise in the third, more the fourth one, he almost like rebuilds his team. And man, it's just another level from there. Simon Pegg is brilliant in them. He's always funny. And each movie brings different guys into the fray at different moments. I love them, man. I think he's doing great things with that franchise.
Nice. Okay, I'll try and get back on. I lost like track, and I kind of just never jumped back on. So, but
Night Hunters, I enjoyed. What did you think overall twist-wise in that? Did you see twist coming in that movie?
So, I suspected there was gonna be a twist, but no, I didn't think it was. What I'm keen to know is if you're willing to be honest, where your aha moment was. Because for me and Kira, it was two different places. And mine was when he's playing back the footage and he realizes he's acting with the wrong hand. And they do it very subtly.
They do it subtly, but for me, that was a moment that almost reaffirmed my thoughts. As it was leading up there, right after they rearrest the killer from...
I don't know if we should say spoilers just in case, but anyway.
Yeah, potentially spoilers. So at that moment in the dad's house, right there, I was like, hang on, I think I know where this is going. And then he unpacks it with the cameras, he sees that thing, and I was like, yeah, okay, my suspicion is right. And then when the suspicion happens, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So it wasn't an aha moment for me at all, because I was sitting there going, I'm pretty sure this is it. And maybe it's because I've watched a lot of these, I don't know, Criminal Minds and all of those things. So I pick up on the subtle nuances in those moments, and I had that suspicion of the serial killer twist.
What I did like, man, is like, I don't know if this gives merit to the film itself or just me watching stuff, but what it was is one of those films that I watched and expected nothing from, and I was like, oh, cool. And a movie that did that for me, I've told you, is called The Accountant with Ben Affleck. And I went in there going, like, dude, I just looked at it and I'm like, I don't know why I thought this. I didn't research the movie at all. And I'm like, we were double dating. It was Timmy, me, Kira, and Nikita. And I was like, it just looks like some Ben Affleck freaking rom-com or something. And I went in there, I was just like, I sat in silence for a while. So I was like, this is probably my favorite movie of the year.
100% agree, dude. And off the back of you saying to me, dude, I'm not going to give anything away. You just need to watch this movie. I did, and I was also like,
Dude,
God,
and
he's
for me to
amazing.
not give anything away, like you got like to me, like he gives me a hard time about it because I'm like, I'll say to someone, "Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything," and I'll start talking about it immediately without even realizing. I'm like, damn it, I got to like hold everything back when I'm excited about a film. And
Yeah.
also because I don't want to hype someone up too much because then they'll go into too high expectations and they're like, oh, it was all right. I'm like, no, it was mind blowing. What is wrong with you?
I'm like, and especially on that movie, I'm with you there. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on and that I downloaded at the beginning of this week and watched a couple episodes last night was the new Harley Quinn animated show that's currently, I think, on DC Direct, their streaming channel, etc. Managed to get season 1. Apparently, season 2 is ongoing currently, so hopefully in a couple of weeks' time I'll be able to get season 2 as well. But I'm enjoying it. And it was interesting. I actually watched a Kevin Smith podcast on YouTube. He was being interviewed, him and his daughter Harley Quinn were being interviewed by the DC online guys. And they just asked him what he's recently got onto, and he mentioned the Harley Quinn TV show. And just off the back of his feedback and comments, I thought, well, if Kevin Smith's enjoying it, let me give it a look. And I was pleasantly surprised, man. I don't know if I agree with the voice actors in some roles. They've got Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory, Penny. She's playing the voice of Harley Quinn. I'm a fan of Tara Strong. She's a very famous animated voice actor. She's done from the Powerpuff Girls to the Harley Quinn in the Justice League animated shows from a while back, etc. I just love Tara Strong. I love her voice characterization. I think if it was my choice, that's who I would have gone with. I like who they've got as Batman, Diedrich Bader. He's done, I think it was one of the Brave and the Bolds, I think, animated there. He was the Batman there. And for me, if it can't be Kevin Conroy, I like Diedrich Bader as Batman. I think he's awesome, man. He's really, really cool.
You stole the words. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say you stole the words out of my mouth. So this is going to probably be quite an unfair judgment. I haven't watched the series. But what I did, I was over at Tim's place one day, and he's like, dude, you got to see this. And he was like making quite a big deal out of it. And he played it for me, and I instantly knew it was Penny's voice, as you mentioned. That's what I was Googling just now because I forgot her name. And it annoyed me like more than it should have. But I think it's because Tim pointed it out. He's like, look who's doing voice for it. But I think I still need to give the series a fair chance. But yeah, when it was just like her swearing and it felt forced to me, and I was like, but look, Tim could have lined up the one little cringe moment in the series. Be like, yeah, this is what it's always like, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, dude, it does. The swearing does continue. I found that I'm about 5 or 6 episodes in, and it's almost like they went out of their way in the first one to shock and drive this message home that this isn't Batman the animated series. This is a more adult animated series here. I like their Joker, and I like how they're depicting the relationship between Harley and the Joker in the show.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of folks out there that it drives me insane when I see these memes online about this is the best relationship, you know, our crazy has found one another and this is the perfect union. I'm like, no, you idiots. This is a very dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship, you know.
Stockholm Syndrome match.
Exactly. Stockholm Syndrome through and through. Joker is a through and through self-absorbed narcissist. He's incapable of loving Harley the way people think he does. And they really do depict that in the show well.
Nice.
And I think that they cover this whole, almost like Harley she's withdrawing, trying to get to terms with the fact that he doesn't love her the way she imagines it to be. And Poison Ivy is almost like that friend that's trying to just constantly get her to see the light, etc.
I do find that interesting, dude, is that I know this seems like an obvious thing to mention, but it does seem like generally either the writers are allowed more freedom in the animated shows, or they're willing to take more risks because they won't lose billions of dollars or whatever. Because even I don't know if you know that was an underlying one of the many problems of Suicide Squad. apparently they cut back because Leto's Joker seemed so abusive to Harley in some of the cuts or whatever, and they cut it out for like the, because they wanted Harley, Margot Robbie to shine as this independent woman, that breaks away. And it's like, I 100% thumbs up to that, but that's not the story. That's not the relationship between Joker and Harley.
It actually takes away from her breaking out when you don't show the other side
the whole journey
of the picture, to show the level of abuse that she was going through. It almost devalues it, where she becomes more of an independent person.
Yeah, it makes the payoff not really worth anything, which...
Yeah, and what I'm finding in the animated is each episode, like Harley's, everything that's driving her and all these weird schemes she's coming up with is all to show the Joker, to prove to the rest of the villains out there that she's not the Joker's sidekick. She's her own unique villain, and it's all being driven and fueled by this. I just want to prove to him. I just want to show him he doesn't control me. He's not this, etc., etc. So she's almost obsessing over the Joker, but in a different way now. Not in the love relationship way, but I'm going to prove that I'm different to him now, which it's on point, dude. I'm loving it.
Nice.
Little side note, if you watch it, dude, there's every episode that Bane is in. Dude, I actually felt myself physically gut laughing out loud at the way they do Bane, because I don't know if it's intentional, but they're directly, in my opinion, mocking Tom Hardy's Bane from the Nolan films.
Okay.
So he talks like a Nils bear, and he's got that kind of a tone to him, and it is so funny, dude. There's this one thing where they all at like a ball. It's actually like the Penguin's nephew's bar mitzvah that they all arrive at, and the Joker is sitting next to Bane at this table, and there's a scene over like Bane's food. Dude, it properly, I think I had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard at the way they do Bane. Yeah, so if for nothing else, watch that. There's a character in there, Kite Man, who also is just hysterical as well, dude. And lame ass villain, and they just totally, that's what he is in the show, man. And he's got this like thing going with Poison Ivy. He's like obsessed with Poison Ivy, and Ivy's doing that whole like, I'm an A-list, you're like a nothing, but yet she's like, so did he ask about me? Yes, no. So, dude, it's funny. The only thing that I didn't enjoy with this one episode, they have Robin in it, Damian Wayne's Robin, and I don't feel that they portrayed Robin right. They play him more like a bit of a stubborn, helpless teenage kid, and we all know Damian's not that.
Very independent, like overmuch so. But
but barring that, dude, it's just try watch it with no expectations.
Yeah, no, definitely will.
How it grabs you, because I'm liking the way that they're doing each of the Batman's villains, the portrayals and stuff so far.
Okay. Yeah, dude, something else that I watched, and I posted a link because I didn't know this. It's free on YouTube. Was that we checked? We got hold of it recently, called DC Showcase. There's a Catwoman and a Death. Yes. I watched Death. If you guys have got some spare time or whatever, and you're into that whole sort of universe, I highly recommend it. It's like really short. I think it's maybe a 10-minute film.
Okay.
And it's just a depiction. If you know anything about death, you don't even have to know anything about death. But it's a very it's a tragic story. But there's always, obviously they've like taken and lent from Gaiman and stuff. But there is always this, like, it's weird. Like, death is like this. She's so relatable, because especially when they wrote her, she was like this goth in chick, because she keeps up with times and stuff, opposed to the rest of the Endless. But yeah, and it's just based on one guy. It's like, what I took from it is this guy that's wasted his life, and she gives him some kind of silver lining, because she arrives at everyone's death. But it's got a small twist, nothing like earth shattering, but there's something beautiful about it, dude. I know it sounds weird, but if anyone's got some spare time, I'd recommend it. I thought it was cool, and I like the voice casting and everything. In the beginning, as you start watching it, you think it could be some like cheesy, like Asian lame, like manga or something, or anime or something, but you give it like 2 or 3 minutes, and like to me, I was already hooked, and I wanted to know what happened in the story, and I thought it was cool. So,
okay, I've got it. I need to just watch it. So
yeah,
that's like 10 to 15 minutes to do that. Definitely will. And sorry, on that note, you mentioned lame and manga in the same sentence. Manga and anime are not lame.
No, but you get the really, really bad, like over the top stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So, if you liked what Mark and I were talking about here, or just like our content in general,
please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more videos.
And yeah, do us a favor and find us on the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
See you in the next video.